Hey everyone, on today's video, Mike and I are going to discuss the 4-building portfolio in coastal Huntington Beach that we just closed for one ownership group. The total sales price, $17,925,000. This was a complex transaction because there was 4 total sales. Mike was the team lead on making sure that all these properties were marketed and executed correctly, but we leveraged the entire team, myself, Mike, and everybody within our 10-person team within CBRE to execute for these owners. Now, the overall, before we dive in and talk about the sales, we sold these assets for a record price. All the cap rates were in the low 3s. The average price per unit was $527,000. This again was a 4-building portfolio, total of 34 units. Now, Mike, if you can, give us a little backstory on the ownership and how long we've been talking to them and kind of some of the steps they took in order before they decided to sell.
The first conversation we had with this ownership was back in 2017. This was a legacy portfolio for this ownership. They built the properties in the 1970s, and from 2017 until current, we always just touch base with them. We let them know how the market's doing, updated valuations. We were more of advisors to them and just say, okay, timing wasn't right for you right now to sell. And then in 2024, that timing was right.
From the time we signed the listings for these properties to the day of closing, the average length from list to close was just over 3 months each. Now, 2 of these buildings closed cash, 1 was with a bridge loan, and 1 was through just conventional bank financing. But it's important to know, because a lot of owners who ask, how long did it take to sell the properties? That's very important in today's market because properties are taking longer to close. But what Mike and I experienced was the amount of demand, coastal demand from buyers that are looking for well-located, good assets. And these in Huntington Beach, we all had multiple offers on each property.
Yeah, that's right. So this couldn't have been done with just Dan or myself. We have a whole team of over 10 people on it. And from that point, we were doing property tours on each property. There's even times when we had an 18-unit property, I was doing the tour, Dan was at the 8-unit, and we had another team member at the 4-plex too. So we were all working in a cohesive team to do these property tours, collecting offers. We'd have conference call with the ownership, and then ultimately selecting a buyer, running the whole escrow process. So we really put all of the headaches and then the friction that a escrow could have on us, and then made it easier for the seller.
That's right. I mean, one of the reasons we take the burden off the ownership as far as executing the sales, and we took that and put that on ourselves. We were able to sell all these properties through our investor network and broker network. So the investors that came down, there was one that bought the 2 side-by-side 4-plexes that we sold. They closed cash. They came down from LA. They were touring the 18-unit building, and they also toured just after the side-by-side 4-plexes. So we were dividing and conquering, making sure that we were executing the marketing process for our seller, but also making sure that the buyers got what they needed on our end so they can make an informed decision while they were here locally. And then additionally, there was also a trade buyer that came through and acquired the last 8-unit building. So we saw a lot of what was going on in the market. We were able to really share a lot of detail with our sellers, who's coming into the market, who's in a trade, who's cash, who's a local buyer, who's out of the area, who wants to move their capital into the coastal Orange County market. So it was a very informing process for them. We let them know all the properties that were being toured, all the offers, the summary of offers, right? The terms, everything we kind of made streamlined and communicated to them efficiently. And I think one of the most important parts of the process was that we were able to walk them through every step of the way on what buyers in today's market are expecting.
And I think a lot of the people who are listening right now, they're like, is it a good time for me to sell? I've been interested in looking at selling. In coastal Huntington Beach, all these properties were within 3 blocks of the ocean. And on the 18 units, we had over 5 offers. On the 2 4-plexes, over 5 offers. On the 8 units, over 5 offers. So people did come out through our, as Dan mentioned, broker network, investor network, and then they paid premiums for these properties. Yes, interest rates are high, but this felt like its own bubble where buyers wanted to pay a premium for these properties.
So a summary, the total portfolio value at the list price was $18,490,000. We closed escrow for $17,925,000, which is right at 97% list to close. And again, on average, listing to close, not escrow, but listing to close was just over 3 months on average for each property.
Yeah, and these weren't drawn out escrows. We made everything very concise for the ownership. We told them when their acceptance date was, contingency, close of escrow, all this, so they knew exactly the timelines. All the escrows closed on time without any hiccups too.
And I think it's really important to know just that the market is pretty strong for good real estate. The buyers and capital will come out off the sidelines and want to buy good real estate if it's the right product and the right location. And that's what people have an appetite for. And we're seeing that heavily within the coast.
Right, and I think why these properties moved in that timeline Dan just mentioned, they were priced accordingly too. The ownership listened to our pricing expectations. They didn't just go with the very highest broker opinion value they said, okay, Mike, Dan, you guys know this area very well. We're going to go with your pricing. And then throughout all these multiple offers, we were able to bid up the pricing and then tighten up the terms for the ownership.
Look, more engagement, more offers. Sometimes you get better terms and you get buyers that are willing to step up if they know there's competition. So if you have too much aspirational pricing and you don't get that level of offers, then the days on market are ticking up and you have a little bit less leverage. Because if you don't have much offers, then you don't really have a whole lot to work with. The perfect environment is when you have multiple offers and everybody puts their best foot forward. And that's what we saw on each one of these sales.
Yeah, and then it also helped in that escrow process, right? There's sometimes when you have these escrows, when you only have one buyer, they can kind of dictate the terms after investigating a property, inspecting it. But when there's 5 backup offers, okay, it kind of times up their scope of work too.
Yep, and I think it was just a great viewpoint within the marketplace of seeing a smaller asset, buyers wanting to buy it, high net worth investors that were wanting to come into the market. They really felt very good about investing in Huntington Beach within the coastal market. They liked the buildings, they liked the size of the units, they liked that there were a few blocks from the water. There was a value add group that acquired the 18-unit building. They're going to transform that property. We're really excited about doing a before and after updating as they go through and upgrade that property. But each one of the assets were assets long-term. These are going to be great long-term investments. A lot of people liked the Huntington Beach market. So it gives us a lot of good ammunition to inform other owners that are curious about the market. So we're really excited about this property. We're really excited how our team executed. We're very happy with our proven and unique marketing process in order to get these assets marketed and sold in a timely manner.
Yeah, and two, for those listening, if you want to reach out for evaluation, we're not going to press you to sell now, right? This ownership first reached out, as mentioned, 2017. We just kept conversations throughout the years. And whenever timing is right for you, if it's you want to exchange into more properties or just tired of the management, whenever that time is, we'll be here. We're not the pushy people. You just reach out to us. We'll have either Dan or myself or a team member help you out with evaluation.
Yeah, consider us more as advisors than just brokers. We want to make sure that we go through all the options with you, lay out everything, give you our train of thought as well. And if ultimately selling is the right path, just like this group of investors that inherited the properties and the siblings decided, look, we want to divest and go our separate ways, then we can help execute on that plan.
Right, and finally, this group had 3 trustees, and we made sure that each and every one of them was equally involved too and had all the information at the right time. So there's some of us who own properties with other, if it's spouses, if it's partners, whoever that is, we can deal with this based on our team and our quality there too.
If you're an investor that wants to acquire units within the marketplace, let our team know, reach out to Mike, reach out to myself, let us know how we can help. And if you're within an ownership group and you're thinking about divesting, maybe you want to go over your options, maybe you just want to look at what's my equity position in my current piece of real estate, let us know. We're here and happy to help.